This presentation is for those in formation to lead educational institutions, whether in K-12 schools, colleges, universities, or public service settings. Many people pursue leadership because they want to make a positive difference. They want to improve institutions, expand opportunity, and impact lives. That desire is good. But leadership also tests that desire. Educational leaders often inherit complex institutions. They inherit histories, conflicts, budget pressures, mistrust, and expectations that cannot be resolved by technical skill alone. The question for this presentation is simple. What kind of formation prepares a leader for that reality? The Samuel Wales image of Eton and Waterloo gives us a helpful frame. Eton represents preparation. It is the training ground where habits, imagination, judgment, humility, and discipline are formed. Waterloo represents the crisis. It is the moment of conflict, of pressure, of action and decision. Leadership studies often focus on Waterloo. They study the battlefield. They study successful leaders and visible outcomes. But Wales reminds us that what happens at Waterloo depends on what has already been formed at Eton. So leadership is not only about what we do in crisis. It is about who we are becoming before the crisis arrives. Many leadership courses rely on case studies. These are useful because they help us see what leaders did in difficult moments. But case studies, they can be misleading if they focus only on successful leaders after the fact. They can make leadership seem too heroic. They can suggest that the right leader with the right plan can always produce the desired outcome. Educational leadership is much more complicated. A leader may act wisely and still face resistance. A leader may build trust and still face limits. A leader may do good work and still not control the final outcome. That is why formation matters. Formation is more than technical preparation. For educational leaders, Eton is not only about learning budgets, policy, supervision, assessment, or strategic planning. Now, those skills, they do matter, but they are simply not enough. Eton is also the formation of the leader's inner life. It forms humility, patience, imagination, self-discipline, and moral clarity. Spiritual formation helps the leader remain grounded when the organization is anxious. It helps the leader respond rather than react. It helps the leader separate ego from mission. And that is why spirituality is practical for leadership. It shapes the person who must make decisions under pressure. The leader does not choose the battlefield. In education, Waterloo may not be one dramatic battle. It may look like declining enrollments, budgetary pressures, faculty resistance, staff exhaustion, parent frustration, political scrutiny, student need, or institutional instability. A school or college may say it wants change, but they may resist the very changes that are needed. And that is why leaders must begin with reality. What is actually happening here? What history is present? Who is ready to move? Who is afraid? What authority do I really have? What is possible now? Spiritual leadership helps the leader face reality without illusion. Not every problem is technical. Heifetz and Linsky help us understand this through the difference between technical problems and adaptive challenges. Technical problems can be solved with existing expertise. Adaptive challenges require people to learn, change, and face loss. Many educational problems are adaptive. They involve culture, trust, identity, history, power, and values. And that is why a new plan may not be enough. A new structure may not be enough. A new initiative may not be enough. The leader must help the institution face what it would rather avoid. This requires perspective. It requires the leader to step back, to observe the system, and to ask what is really going on. Humility plus will. Jim Collins describes level 5 leaders as combining personal humility and professional will. They are ambitious, but their ambition is not mainly for themselves. Their ambition is directed towards something larger. This is helpful for educational leadership. Schools and colleges do not need leaders driven by ego, visibility, or self-promotion. They need leaders who can serve the mission and empower others. But spiritual leadership goes even deeper. It asks, ambition for what? For growth alone? For rankings? For survival? Or for the flourishing of students, flourishing of faculty, flourishing of staff, families, and communities? Spiritual leadership keeps the human person at the center. The leader is a steward, not an owner. 3 virtues are especially important for leaders in formation: humility, fortitude, and detachment. Humility helps the leader to see reality clearly. Fortitude helps the leader stay with difficult work without becoming bitter or reckless. Detachment helps the leader care deeply without possessing the institution. This is important because leaders can begin to think, my school, my college, my institution. But the institution is not ours. The role is not ours forever. The mission is larger than our title. Spiritual leadership means stewardship, not ownership. Now, people tell the truth to leaders they trust. One of the most practical expressions of spiritual leadership is calm. Educational institutions are filled with power differences. Students, faculty, staff, families, and communities may not always feel safe telling the truth. If leaders are reactive, vain, or punitive, people hide reality. But if leaders are calm, fair, humble, and trustworthy, people are more likely to speak honestly. That matters because leaders cannot respond to what they do not know. Trust is not just a nice value. Trust is how leaders learn what is really happening. Spiritual formation helps leaders create the conditions for truth. Now, bringing this back around, spiritual leadership is disciplined presence in imperfect institutions. Eton and Waterloo teach us that crisis is not only a test of strategy, it is a test of formation. For those preparing to lead educational institutions, technical skill is necessary, but it is not sufficient. Leaders also need humility to see clearly, fortitude to continue, imagination to see what might be possible, detachment to serve without possessing, and calm to build trust. The leader does not choose every Waterloo. The leader may not control the battlefield, but the leader can prepare at Eton. In the end, spiritual leadership is disciplined presence in imperfect institutions. It is the ability to see clearly, to act faithfully, serve humbly, and remain grounded when the work is difficult. Thank you.